We're being recorded.
My name is Don Prosser. I'm president of the Carbondale Library Board, and we're holding this meeting electronically for the reasons that COVID-19 epidemic make this impractical to have a in-person meeting. The meeting is being recorded as required by Illinois law. We'll call the meeting to order, and I ask the secretary to call the roll.
I've got some piano behind me. I'll mute when I'm not talking. Don?
Yes, sir.
Susan? Roland? Here. Julian? Here. Philip?
Here.
Joyce? Barbara?
Here.
Chastity?
Here.
Harriet?
Did we get everybody in there? For example, I didn't hear whether you got everyone. Did you get everybody? Joyce?
I'm here.
Okay, I want to be sure that it showed that she was here, Roland. That turns us to the president's
Susan's
report.
here.
Do we have anybody that wishes to address the meeting from the public?
No public here.
Okay. Under the president's report, I can report that Harriet Simon has an excused absence for reasons of medical procedures. No other report. So that brings us to the secretary's report from the minutes of December 9, 2020. Any discussion on that minute?
Just a couple of small things. Under the financial report, the second line, Joyce Hayes made a motion. And under the librarian's report, number 3, the word seconded is repeated.
Any other additions or corrections to the minutes?
Obviously, I'll have to improve.
Well, Joyce,
Is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Please call the roll.
Don?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Roland? Yes. Julian?
yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Joyce?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Chastity?
Yes.
Not Harriet.
Motion carries. That brings us to our new category, correspondence and communications. Do we have anything to report in that?
Nope, none.
I think at this point, if you don't mind, Diana, I think it would be all right with Harriet if we shared some of the information. I assume you received the text from Ellen.
Mhm.
So Harriet did have surgery today and she is doing well and should be in the hospital for a day or two, and then will return to her daughter's home and get settled in. But it was rather serious surgery, and Harriet, I'm not sure whether all of you know that she has been dealing with a growth on her arm for a long time, and she had that arm amputated and is doing as well as she could possibly do. And knowing Harriet, she'll come through this with flying colors, and we're all thinking about her and praying for her and anxious for her to return to us. I just thought I'd report that. And Ellen did say she would let us all know how things are going.
Where does Ellen live?
They're in Chicago area. She's in a suburb. Let's see, I'd have to look it up. Highland Park, maybe.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear a problem, but I hope it works out well.
Yeah.
Anything else before we move on to correspondence and communications? Do we have anything to report, Diana, on communications?
Nope. No correspondence and communications for the board.
That brings us to financial report. First item is approval of bills payable from January 16, 2021.
Right.
We have a supplemental report today received from Gwen. Is there any comments you want to have, questions about that before we vote on it? Not hearing any. Is there a motion to approve payment of the bills?
Yes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, ask for the roll to be called.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Roland, yes. Julian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
yes,
Barbara,
Yes,
Chastity.
Yes.
Motion carries. We have a financial report that Gwen has prepared. Do you have anything you want to tell us about this, Gwen?
Pretty much the only thing I can think of is we received another $400,000 on January 4th for property taxes, bringing this up to $930,000. So about $146,000 left to collect. So we're doing very well this year for that.
Does that mean we can go to Hawaii this year?
Yes.
No.
Well,
Okay.
I don't
No.
think you can go anywhere, but
We're not
Hawaii
sending
won't
you to
let us
Hawaii.
in.
we could definitely afford the palm tree decoration though.
Very good.
Yes.
We have a motion to approve and accept the financial report for December of
So
2020.
moved.
second,
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, ask for the roll.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
Sorry, yes, I was muted.
Roland, yes. Julian,
Yes.
Philip,
Yes.
Joyce,
yes,
Barbara,
yes,
Chastity.
Yes.
Motion carries. Brings us to your report, Diana.
Okay. Building and grounds maintenance, I don't really have much of anything to report. Amarin reached out to us to see if they could help us figure out different ways to curb our energy consumption. Josh, our maintenance manager, has taken classes on that quite a few times, gone to workshops and stuff in the past. So he thinks that we're probably, there probably isn't anything that they're going to come up with that we haven't come up with ourselves. They usually tell you to turn your thermostat down at night, but we already do just to the extent that we can without making it freezing cold in here the next day. Josh says that our boiler is really old, of course. He's put it in 1983, so it's not that efficient, but he, is going to let Amarin come and, communicate with him in whatever way they want to. And if they can come up with anything we haven't tried, we'll do that. But that's the only thing new on building and grounds maintenance.
I had a question.
Mhm.
Yeah, I noticed that 3 city buildings had been scheduled for solar energy outfitting. And I was wondering if the library had been contacted or if we had inquired about that or becoming part of that.
They, I think, talked to us initially when they, got this going, but the buildings, in order for them to be included in what the city did, actually had to be owned by the city, and our building is owned by the library, so we did not qualify. When I listened to the presentation on the plans for the city, it seemed that from what they were saying in terms of the buildings that they chose, that in order with their plans to have it make your energy consumption, in order for the project to pay for itself, it had to be a somewhat large building, and ours would not qualify as being large enough. Not that I would certainly rule out the ability to do solar, but all of the solar opportunities that I've seen have been residential, or the one that the city did, we could not do that. So I certainly wouldn't rule it out. The First Christian Church did it, and it really drastically reduced their energy consumption. But they have like one long flat roof. Our roof is pretty odd. I've been up there. The HVAC units and the skylight take up a great deal of space. There's not a lot of space to put any solar panels up here. So it's not the most ideal building for going solar, unfortunately. I wouldn't rule it out if I saw an opportunity, you know, that we could be a part of, that I thought, you know, would be worth investigating and having somebody come and take a look. But it's an odd roof, not a lot of space up there.
Well, they would have to be, you would have to put them on, you know, build your own scaffolding so that it sits above the roof. It can't attach to the roof with that much stuff up there, but it could sit above the roof.
Yeah, there's not a lot of space even really for that. I mean, that might be a way to get around the HVAC units that are up there. But the skylight itself, unless we want the skylight instead of just to look at the sky, to look at the bottom of. So yeah, there's not a lot there. I certainly wouldn't rule it out. So I would ask, I mean, everybody keep your eyes open if you know, as you see opportunities like that. So far, I've not.
How about brush?
We could do brush, you know, yeah, it's probably a better roof for that. I don't know if you want to invest that kind of money in the brush building. We don't use as much energy in brush, but you know, if I saw something that we could take advantage of as a public body. Of course, then the other expense to be aware of is that when you replace your roof, you have to pay to have those have a crane come in and move your solar panels off your roof and then put back on. So it'll increase the cost of roof replacement. So I don't know. Keep my eyes open.
Okay.
Good question.
I was going to say, if there's interest in this, we could ask the architect to contact to get some feedback as to what payoffs might be and what the return cost the estimated cost might be. We could do that, and if there's an interest in it, after looking at that, we could put it out for bids and see what people propose. I think as an abstraction, it's pretty hard for me to see how you're going to fix the roof on the main building, though.
Well, if you shared, I mean, you could put more solar panels on brush than it needs in order to power in library. I mean, we could toggle power, share power, depending on how we set it up. So you could have enough to run brush on the main library and enough on brush to run the main library. But you know, that's just a thought. But anyway you cut it, at least in the information I've seen, it is very expensive, and I'm always concerned, you know, about at what rate it amortizes. You know, in other words, when will your savings equal what you've invested to put the damn thing up? So,
well, I spoke with my neighbor, John Baker, who put some solar panels at his house, and he told me that they will not pay for themselves in his wife's lifetime.
Yeah. So I think that, you know, we, as much as enticing as solar power can be, I think you kind of have to keep that bottom line in mind. So
I think that if you are building a new building or building a new house, you may want to explore it. But I think that this going in there and retrofitting it, it's still not cost effective yet.
Exactly.
Well, it could be that with the new administration in Washington, there may be some legislation that will give grants to operations like ours to consider this. So we can wait and see if there's any development in that. But I think right now it sounds unlikely that we're going to find the answer to this as
Yeah.
being cost effective at this point.
I think we should go nuclear.
I'll leave that for your suggestion then. You want to move on then, Diana?
Yeah,
Sure.
sorry for the.
No, that's a good question. Okay, the investment policy, you guys reviewed this pretty thoroughly over the past 2 years, but it is in front of you again annually. So you can take a look at it, and if you see anything that you want to edit, we can make those edits.
Do we need to vote if we just keep it as it is?
I think because of the rules of being in a virtual environment, we're supposed to vote on any action we take. So, so yeah, I guess I would say that it would probably be wise to vote, even if you're just voting to keep it without any changes.
I move that we renew it as is.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to maintain the current investment policy is in your packet. Is there any discussion? Are you ready for the question?
Yes.
Call the roll.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
She's muted.
Roland, yes.
Sorry, yes.
Julian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes,
Joyce,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Chastity,
Yes.
Motion carries. That brings us to the question of chief financial officers. Can you report to us who this has been in the past?
Yeah, so according to the revisions from last year, we made this a little bit more explicit. So the normally your chief financial officers, which are your current financial officers, are your board treasurer, and by designation, the library director, and your staff member who handles financial operations, which is Gwen. So you can leave that as is, but you can change it. You requested last year that we add language to reapprove those officers annually. So, you know, if you had somebody on your board who was really good at this or something, you want to assign it to them, or if you had somebody who was incapacitated or, you know, didn't want to, you know, didn't feel qualified to do it, then you would be able to choose somebody else. So.
We have a motion.
so
I
moved.
move that we keep it the same.
That we approve these. Yes.
So I got
Moved by
Julian
Julian, seconded
first.
by Barbara, that we maintain the current appointments. Any discussion?
Well, aren't there some changes that we need to talk about? The ones that are in red. So it's not keeping it as is. It's
That's a
accepting it.
different,
It-
that's a different policy. You're on the investment policy stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I was trying to scroll down here fast enough.
Mhm.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Roland, yes. Julian,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Chastity.
Yes.
Motion carries. We're a very controversial group. I noticed there's a lot of unanimity of opinion. Brings us on to the next item, Diana.
Review of executive session minutes. You just need to let me know if you want to have any of these made public or leave them as is.
I move that we continue to keep them
closed.
as they are.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call the roll.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Roland, yes. Julian,
yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Chastity.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So review and acceptance of your bylaws is the one that Phil was just looking at. And there are some that are highlighted in red. And these proposed changes are due to your review when you looked over your per capita grant requirements with the Illinois standards for Illinois libraries. One was that we add, we specify in the order of business correspondence and communication. That is something that you've always done in practice. It's always been in your agenda, but it was not specified in your bylaws that it should be included in your agenda. So just added that. And then at the very end, I added an article, which actually just took some language from above. These bylaws are to be reviewed every 3 years, because it suggested that you add a timeline for reviewing your bylaws so that they stay relevant. And then the rest of the language, and may be amended by a majority vote at a regular meeting, and so on and so forth. That language was there. It wasn't part of its own article. It was actually kind of oddly placed elsewhere. So the only real change in the language was to make that its own article and to add the language about reviewing your bylaws every 3 years. And then at the bottom, the pending would be revised January 2021.
Is there a motion to approve the proposed amendments to the bylaws?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the bylaws as recited by the director. Are there any discussion?
Was the second from Chastity?
Yes.
I do notice that how many M's are there in amendment?
I'll fix that.
I like to do this because I don't usually see these things. I'm a terrible speller, but that one leaked out at me. Other than that, is there any other discussion? Call the roll.
Don,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes.
Roland, yes. Julian,
yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Joyce,
yes,
Barbara,
Yes.
Chastity.
Yes.
Motion carries. We have any other items for your report, Diana?
I wanted to get your thoughts just real quickly. So just a COVID update. It sounds like the governor is going to reduce our restrictions again. So right now we probably don't at the moment qualify in our region, in Region 5 just yet, because the only way in which we don't currently qualify at the moment, changes day by day, is in our hospital bed capacity. So I don't anticipate him changing us unless that changes within the next few days. But when he does change us, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you all think would be safe. We can also have our emergency planning meeting group meet again and review. Right now, things are going really well with doing appointment only for computer use. So,
Have you been getting much traffic?
it's not a great deal. It's probably about 10 people a day. It's really not that much.
Right.
This is just requesting books.
No, 10 people a day coming in to use the computer. Yeah, we also do curbside pickup.
How about the curbside?
It is, I guess, slow but steady. You know, we go out there a few times every hour probably to pass someone their books. So I feel very safe in here without the public in here, but I want to make sure that we are serving the public to the best of our ability. I feel like if our employees do get added to the list of people who can get the shot before the entire general public, so sort of in line with grocery store workers and stuff, I feel a whole lot better about opening the doors. Right now, it's sounding like, from what I looked at with Jackson County, that the general public will probably not be vaccinated until potentially April.
Right.
So we might
Diana,
be able to get a little in front of that.
have you checked with them and see if you are in Group 1C?
We are not currently, but the Illinois Library Association is advocating on behalf of all Illinois libraries to get us put into a category. Right now, we do not fall into any category.
Well, old geezers like us get to register at noon tomorrow.
Good.
Where?
Jackson County Health Department website. And the shots are going to be given at the arena.
Oh, is that 65 and up?
65 and up, yes.
If we didn't have you tell us, how would we know that?
That is a good question, but I didn't really want to challenge the person from the health department today. They just assume that people are looking at their website every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, looking at the Jackson County Health Department's website, and then the governor makes periodic announcements too. But of course, that's not going to be local, but he might say something generally about senior citizens being able to sign up now through their local health departments.
But it seems like they have a system set up that is very efficient. They're going to be able to vaccinate 20 people every 15 minutes. That's 80 people an hour. So yeah, I think they can move along pretty quickly.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have enough of the vaccine to do everybody then to meet the demand.
They are just basically saying that they are going to use up every dose that they can get. Mm-hmm. So, and I don't know what she didn't disclose the number of doses that they got. Mm-hmm. But apparently with SIH, they ended up with some extras after vaccinating their workers, their contact with patients. Then they asked their staff people who wanted to get shots. So those people have been vaccinated. So.
I appreciate getting updated on this, Julian, since as I'm in that class with you. So.
As am I.
I'm not.
That's good, Barbara.
Just wait. Just wait.
Well, in reference to your original question, Diana, if the governor were to move us out of the current status to what we were before, do you have any feelings that we need to reconsider what was our level of operation at that point, or can we just go back to where we were?
I think we should I'm guessing that the committee probably should talk about it, because I think if we just fling open the doors, that we'll get back into a situation that we are finding ourselves in pretty frequently, which was having to walk around and remind people to pull the mask up over their nose, and then we'd walk back 10 minutes later and we have to remind them again. So I'd like to find a way to avoid that. That's not also super labor intensive on the front end. You know, when people walk in the door, when we very first reopened the doors, we did make people stop and sign in, and that helped, but that is also pretty labor intensive. Most people want to just fly right past us, and we don't want them piling up on top of each other while they wait to get in the door either, you know, standing 2 feet away from each other. So I do think it's something that if he were to say, you know, we're gonna put you into lesser restrictions beginning on Monday, I think I would want to have the committee meet again. I wouldn't just automatically, you know, open the doors. I'd want us to have a meeting first. So I think it probably is best if we go ahead and have a meeting next week proactively. I also don't, you know, it's hard to say too, if he puts us on lesser restrictions, he could then the very next week turn around and put us on restrictions again. So it makes it a little bit hard to communicate with the public about exactly what we're going to do. So it's good to know what we'll do with each phase. And I don't know whether he's going to call it a tier or a phase. So it makes it difficult to know which set of rules to follow. And right now they've actually, it seemed to, from what I could tell, I looked for about half an hour today, for the language on what happens with the different tiers, because we're right now in a tier instead of a phase. And they only had the tier 3 language there. They had hidden the tier 1 and tier 2. So I couldn't really even look at that tier 2 language to see if we were to go to tier 2, what tier 2 allows.
Well, let me just say, as a member of the committee, if you want to go ahead and schedule a meeting for the committee next week, I'll certainly be participating with the rest of the committee, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll send out a doodle poll then to see what, to find a good date for that. So just wanted to kind of keep the board apprised of where we're at with that and my thought process on it. So.
Right.
Any
Any other comments about that? Do we have any committee reports? Unfinished business? New business?
Diana, did you want to remind people about the legislative day?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Yeah, the legislative luncheon this year is actually going to be more of a virtual coffee hour. And we have for the past few years and are this year making the phone calls to all of the libraries in the Illinois Heartland Library System to encourage people to attend. Our library has Carbondale Public Library has a membership with ILA at the institutional level. So that means that we can bring in as many people as we want with no charge. It'll be on Zoom. It is a good idea to have as many people as possible attend it. So I do encourage you all to attend. It will be a presentation from Diane Foote, the director of ILA, and from our lobbyist as well. ILA has a lobbyist to advocate for library legislative issues. So they'll be talking about legislative issues that affect libraries. And then each Southern Illinois legislator will have a couple of minutes to kind of say their bit, sort of a round robin. And there might be time for a brief Q&A. There would be a moderated Q&A after that as well. So the whole program will probably be about an hour. You can register for it at ila.org. So it'll be, let's see, taking place February
5th. It's a Friday.
It's a Friday, and I think at 10 a.m. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, so yeah, the more, if we have a large presence, then I think what it shows to the legislators is that we cared enough to come as library stakeholders. So I think it being on Zoom, we have a really good opportunity to have some good attendance numbers this year. Thank you, Susan.
And it's only an hour and you don't have to drive anywhere.
We do have to do the Zoom, which is a pain though.
Yeah,
In any
it's
event,
just
it's
a
good
webinar
suggestion.
though.
It's a good suggestion.
But it is actually a webinar. You don't have to be on video, so you don't need to shower or anything. You'll be invisible and muted. So, yeah.
Other than that, do we have anything else, any other business? Is there a patron behavior issue?
No behavior issues. No, we're good right now.
Any other reason we can't adjourn the meeting then?
I've got one thing I want to say again, as I have in the past, but I'm pretty favorably impressed with what we see of the staff activity on these reports that we get each month too. And I would hope I'm speaking for the whole board in that sentiment, and hope that Diana will pass that on to the staff. I think it's amazing how much they're still able to do and the participation they're getting.
That would be used to be called an attaboy, but I don't think we could probably do that in today's gender neutral society, but we are all praising them, absolutely. Anything else? Well, if not, thank you all for coming. The meeting is adjourned.
All right, thanks.
Everybody,
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
thank you all.
That's